All right. We got some questions that came in through Discord, which we're excited to take. And no doubt that'll take us into some preseason talk. And later on tonight in Houston, we're going to be joined by fans and we'll talk about the game more as well. So there will be two podcasts today. So the first question that came in through Discord is from Sushank. Sushank says, "Hey guys, I know just one preseason game isn't enough to determine how the diamond fits us, but should we finally acquire Mbappe's services, do you think we can continue with the diamond with Rodrigo benched, or occasionally starting as a number 10, since Bellingham clearly thrives in the free role, or do we transition back to a 4-3-3 with Vinicius, Mbappe, Rodrigo up top? I'm curious because Rodrigo isn't a natural right winger. Either way, I'm excited with the potential to play so many different ways based on our opposition. Also, how effective do you think a 4-2-4 with Vinicius, Mbappe, Jose Luis, or Bellingham, Rodrigo would be against deep blocks? Curious what you guys think." So we can start with the first part of this question, Lucas.
Yeah.
If Mbappe arrives, do we transition to 4-3-3?
Well, first things first, I want to get your interpretation on Ancelotti's words saying that Bellingham could play as a right, quote-unquote, interior, I think he said, if a 4-3-3 is deployed. This is kind of a lost in translation thing, maybe from Ancelotti or even from the reporters replicating his quotes. Do you think he meant right side on the center of midfield, or do you think he meant on the right wing? Interior is officially here in Spain a central midfielder, like Kroos and Modric would be interior, but I'm not entirely sure if that's what he meant.
Was this a quote from last night?
No, it was. I think it was from the first UCLA training. I don't know if you heard it like directly. I don't think it's that important that you did anyway.
I wasn't at the first UCLA training session, but I think if he said the word interior, that means midfield.
Right side of the central midfielder. Modric is a spot, if you will, in the old 4-3-3. Yeah. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, I think that if Real Madrid sign Mbappe, it's a 4-3-3 formation for Real Madrid once again. I think it'll be that way unless Rodrigo's form and performances decline a lot. I think that if Real Madrid sign Mbappe, the 4-3-3 will be back. I think right now Ancelotti is trying to build a new formation because of Real Madrid's lack of solid or brilliant center forwards. He's trying to balance that by using more midfielders because obviously he has a lot of depth in that particular spot. But I think if Real Madrid end up signing Mbappe, I'm pretty sure that Real Madrid will revert back to the 4-3-3 formation with Mbappe in the center, Vinicius on the left, and Rodrigo on the right. What do you think?
I guess I have a question about this myself because I don't feel too strongly about it either way, whether it's diamond or 4-3-3, because sometimes I think these formations they look so different anyway during the game, and it's not as rigid as we think. And I think the diamond has some weaknesses, like the lack of width. It also, Vinicius needs some time to adapt to playing more central. I asked Carlo about that last night. Maybe you saw it. And then the fact that, we don't have, although Fran Garcia looks really good, but we don't have that much width from our wing backs. If it's Mendy and Carvajal, there's those questions. But I guess my main question is, what changes when Mbappe arrives? Like, what's the fundamental difference between Mbappe and Rodrigo? Like, I understand there's a difference in level. I understand that. But why does Mbappe all of a sudden get you to a 4-3-3 and Rodrigo doesn't? Is it just because Mbappe provides a striker presence and now we have the ability to put three attackers?
I think so. I think that's the main reason why. I think right now Real Madrid are not in a position where they can trust three attackers at the same time, three pure attackers at the same time. You can obviously put Bellingham on the right wing, Valverde on the right wing, whatever you may come up with. But right now, I don't think Ancelotti feels safe about using three pure attackers Brahim could be used, Arda Güler could be used. Yeah, sure. If 4-3-3 was a must, Ancelotti could find a way to do it with the current roster and without Mbappe. Yeah, sure. But depth wouldn't be that big without Mbappe if a 4-3-3 were going to be used, right? Because I think all of a sudden you need 3 attackers and you have like 5. Best case scenario right now, I think 6 with Güler, if you consider Güler a very reliable player from the get-go, which I think remains to be seen. But you have a good point. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. It's just a matter of numbers right now. I think that Real Madrid feel like their main strength on the field right now would be the midfield line, rightfully so. But if Mbappe signs, the situation changes dramatically, because all of a sudden Real Madrid have a lot more depth on the offensive line, in my opinion. So, although I acknowledge and admit and definitely agree with your point that on paper nothing changes. I mean, Mbappe and Rodrigo's role will be very similar in that, would be very similar in that diamond formation. I think it's just a matter of strength in numbers in this case.
To me, it also really matters how good is Arda Güler, because
Right.
if he becomes really good, I think that also facilitates a 4-3-3 without Mbappe. Because let's be honest, I think he's the only one. Because I'm just skeptical of Brahim. I don't know what it is about him.
He's been decent so far, though.
He's been good. I think he was really good in that first half against Milan. I think he's going to be a real contributor. I'm not saying he's
right.
Not a good player. I'm just saying as the starting guy
right,
in
sure.
Big Champions League game, he's
sure.
not going to be someone I'm interested in starting at this stage anyway, unless that changes. But how good Arda Güler is a huge domino, because if he's really good on the right wing, then that actually provides you with a 4-3-3 presence. Rodrigo, even if you put him in a 4-3-3, it's not going to be completely 4-3-3. It's going to be like, everyone, let's just play on the left side kind of deal. Occasionally you go over there and stretch the field, but and then rely a lot on Carvajal's runs. But if Güler becomes really good, then that facilitates a 4-3-3 too. And I think, just want to take this into a different direction, because you asked about that Bellingham quote from Carlo. A source of optimism that I've taken from everything in preseason so far is that I just don't think Kroos and Modric are going to start together next season. Because right now Bellingham is already undroppable. As extreme as it is to say, Carlo is in love with him. He talks about him so much. Everyone's always asking about him. By the way, I just got to put this as a tangent. Bellingham is a freaking amazing human, man. This guy is an absolute sweetheart. The press, I think there's a question about it, so I'll save it. But everybody loves him. On and off the field, and on the field, he's just an absolute menace. You can't do anything with him. He's so unpredictable with his off-ball runs, the way he dribbles, his vision, his passing. He can score he's chipping the goalkeeper in the box. He's amazing, and I just don't think he's undroppable. So if he said that Bellingham can shift to an interior, what that means to me is that he's going to be on the field regardless. And it seems like Tchouaméni might win his spot back this season, even if it's not maybe starting every game, but to be our main choice is the 6. And Camavinga is pretty much undroppable at this point too. And Carlo loves Fede, and I don't think that. I think this is going to be the year where Carlo actually breaks up Kroos and Modric. I'm a big proponent of having one of them on the field. I think it's great to have one of them on the field. I thought it worked really well against Manchester United last night, where Modric, and if you can shift Kroos in that role too, and you just have a really good blend of ball progression and defensive coverage and interchangeability. I think one of them on the field is very complementary to the rest of the midfielders, but I don't think Carlos sees both of them together anymore. We just have too many options, too many young legs, and doing what Carlo loves, which is energy and ability to defend, the ability to attack, the ability to be versatile. So that's a source of optimism I also have taken from this. And we've spoken so much about, before we signed Bellingham, is he a luxury? Is he a necessity? I think that conversation has shifted now. Like he
Yeah,
wasn't necessary fundamentally from his positional standpoint, but I think we're all basically seeing that this guy you could not have passed up on him. If you had the chance, you had to have signed him. And the dominoes of that now are that I think you have to play a different way now with him.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I agree. But it's just for me, my prediction about Real Madrid's changing to the 4-3-3 if Mbappe signs is more of a matter of Real Madrid's tradition and Real Madrid's historical need of focusing on the offensive line. Focusing on goals, focusing on attacking talent, focusing on deploying the best attackers on the field whenever possible. So that's it's just a prediction. I'm not saying I would do that, not necessarily, especially with the diamond and Bellingham in that spot working as well as he is right now. I think it would be tricky to move Bellingham out of the position where he's excelling and playing at a high level right now. It would be at least risky, to accommodate Mbappe and change the formation, and maybe you do not obtain the same level of performance and the same level of quality from Bellingham if you change to a 4-3-3. I think he can play pretty well as a central midfielder and also obviously as an attacking midfielder behind the two strikers, but it's just a prediction. I mean, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Let's keep our eyes peeled on this one. My guess is that this is going to change a few times during the season. I don't know why,
Right.
but I'm not sure how sustainable the diamond is for some reason. I feel like, I don't know, just a hunch that Carlo will eventually go back to a 4-3-3, but we'll see.
Same. I mean, against the smaller teams, I'm somewhat concerned about the team's potential lack of width and lack of creation through the wings. Even though, again, you've mentioned obviously that both Vinicius and Rodrigo will have the tendency to play through the flanks and all that. At the end of the day, you will lack some serious width through the flanks, and that might hurt your chances against the smaller opposition, especially away from the Bernabeu. So I have my concerns about the diamond being the most used formation for Real Madrid throughout the entire season. Obviously, it can be a brilliant option against quality and elite teams, but at the end of the day, on a consistent basis, you have to go all in and pretty much go all attack against 80% of the teams you're facing in a season.